I want every right-wing influencer to tell their audience what the fuck they're even trying to do with their influencing. I make my motivation clear all the time. I'm actively trying to fix what's wrong with the West, and not just through one method. There's only one method available to me right now, which is just influencing, and I'm not a fan of it, never looked forward to it. But other right-wingers, and I mean literally all of them, 100% of them, please tell your audience what the fuck you're even trying to do. And even then, even more importantly, tell your audience what makes you qualified to do so. Whatever it is you're trying to do, what makes you qualified to do so. Unless your goal, your ambition is to simply entertain your audience and you don't consider yourself as anything more than an entertainer and all you want to do is entertain, which for basically all of them, I doubt that's the case. I doubt they're trying to just entertain their audience. Oh, today we're going to talk about how fucked up the left is, and I hope you have a good time hearing me rant. I doubt it. But I guess you never know. You never know what they're going to say. But I doubt entertainment is truly the end goal here. So, unless entertainment is truly what you're after, I want you, if you're a right-wing influencer, to tell your audience what the fuck you're trying to do. Are you trying to change minds? Are you trying to change the system? Are you trying to be a leader? What is the point of you? And the reason I'm talking about this is the overwhelming majority of right-wing influencers have no qualification for actually influencing. It's in the word, influencing. They are trying to affect something. They're trying to affect their audience. They are trying to affect society. They're not qualified to discuss politics. They're not qualified to scorn others for hypocrisy. They're not qualified to bitch about other influencers, left or right. They're not qualified to bitch about politicians. They're not qualified for jack shit. Why is that? Well, the reason is very simple. They have no stake in the game, no honest investment in the future. Most of them, not all of them, most of them. Even if they do, I still question the motivation of all of them. The majority of them have no stake in the game. They have no piece on the board. When the outcome of the future will have no impact on you, or if the outcome of the future is something you can simply adapt to, and it'll be no more than an inconvenience on your comfort. For example, the economy crashes, your nation becomes a failed state, whatever happens. If the worst thing that's going to happen to you and everything you care about is, well, you'll just move back in with your parents. If the worst thing that's going to happen to you is, well, I guess I'll just have to share some kind of crowded building with other people. If the worst that's going to happen to you is, well, the internet went down and now I can't influence anymore for cash. If you're the only person you're concerned about, you can adapt. You don't truly have anything at stake. And if that's your situation, where the only thing you have to worry about is yourself, then you need to shut the fuck up right now. Most of these influencers have no kids. Most of these influencers have no children. The biggest guilty party here is Nick Fuentes. But even among my fellow monarchists, actually, especially among my fellow monarchists, this is the case. Seriously, the only monarchists I even know of who have kids, apart from Moldbug, but he doesn't count. I think, well, I'm not going to go off on a rant about him, but apart from him, I don't think he counts. The only monarchists I even know of who have kids are myself and Wise Supremacy. That's it. I could be wrong here, but I don't think so. Aiden Paladin, no kids. Spoon, no kids. Scrump is a it, so obviously he doesn't have kids. And if he did, it's only because he trafficked them into his care. One guy, and I'm not going to give any names here, but if you guys watched my old King's Council podcast, I'm going to mention a couple of those people here. One guy can't keep a job. I don't think he even tries to because he has nothing to lose. So why not be careless, I guess? Why not be irresponsible? Can't keep a job, and he doesn't seem to have any reason to. Doesn't have kids, doesn't have anything to worry about. I guess he takes care of his mom, but it doesn't sound like she needs all that much care. He lives with a shitload of dogs for some reason. And he and I had a falling out. Well, actually, we've had a couple of falling outs, and it's always him reacting like a woman to something that happened or didn't happen, and he refuses to ever talk about it. He refuses to ever, approach the situation like a man. And so eventually I just, like, after this last emotional outburst, I just told everyone else in our circle, I'm done with him. Fuck him. He acts like a woman, and I'm tired of him acting like a woman. He once complained after our first minor falling out. I unfollowed him. He unfollowed me, but then he followed me again. Followed me again for some reason, and over time, like over a month or two, he even wrote on his Twitter like, Archaeosophy needs to follow me again. I don't know why he hasn't. And I'm just thinking, dude, it's only a matter of time before you have an outburst like a woman again. It's only a matter of time. And for some reason, I was gracious enough to let him back onto my podcasts. And frankly, I don't know why I did that, because I knew what was going to happen. I knew this guy can't help himself. He needs to grow the fuck up. That's the short version here. And another guy that I used to have on the King's Council podcast, he's a content creator himself. He is the epitome of not growing up. But he tries to talk about politics. And for that reason, I believed in him enough, I guess. I was optimistic enough with him, I guess, to give him a chance. But the guy just won't grow up. He doesn't have a job. I don't think he's ever had a job. Still lives with his parents at 25, 26, however old he is. And not to mention, despite being a monarchist, he doesn't actually want to commit to the group. He doesn't want to commit to the cause. Not really. He just wants to commentate on it. He just wants to give his opinions on it. But what he really wants to commit to is just being a useless clown. Hey, don't you guys know that I live in 11 dimensions? Whatever the fuck that means. He's really committed to this act for some reason. For someone who's 26 and still depends on mom and dad for literally everything, has never paid a bill in his life. And yes, I've tried to have a conversation with him about how immature he is. And what I'm going to say in the rest of this video applies to both him and most other right-wingers. And I'll just give away what I'm going to get at with the rest of this video. And that is, even if you don't have kids, and neither of the two guys I just talked about have kids, no surprise there. But even if you don't have kids, you can still have a stake in the future. You can still have a stake in the future. You can still have a piece on the board, skin in the game, whatever phrase you want to use. You can still do that by following someone who is taking this seriously, by following someone who is doing everything they can to affect change. But I think when it comes to all of these people, Nick Fuentes, Spoon, when it comes to all of these people who want to influence, but they don't have any skin in the game except themselves, they're not responsible for anybody. The reason these people piss me off, I think a great deal of what they do and why they do it is because they don't truly have anything at stake. They can just live comfortably doing whatever they want, whenever they want. And I think they influence because it just feels good to tell people how to think. They feel powerful being irresponsible. They feel powerful not having to be responsible for anything. They're detached and they feel comfortable because they're detached. And it's gotten to their head. It's gotten to their head like, well, because I'm not responsible for anyone and no matter what happens in the future, it's not going to affect me. Yeah, I may as well just sit back and tell everyone how to think. Because why not? That's how these people think. I guarantee it. Sure, I don't know their mind. I can't read their mind, but yeah, I'll make that claim. That is how they think. I'll say it. If so many of us on the right have no investment in the future, no legacy to preserve whatsoever except their fucking YouTube channels, then what is even the point of what they do? There is no point. And that is my point here. If they want to be taken seriously, more importantly, if any of their audience should take them seriously, ought to take them seriously, then they need to either just plain shut up or start establishing a legacy. One or the other, pick one. Have something at stake or shut up. I don't give a fuck how based you are. I don't give a fuck. All these e-girls are based and they all just turn out to be whores who didn't mean a damn thing they ever said. You know, I've like I said in my Amalgamite video, you know, Amalgamite is one of those e-girls who I think of as a filter. Anyone who takes her seriously, anyone who even watches her content unironically, they're a good filter for finding out who's full of shit, who's a retard, all that. And I think the same thing applies to all of these right-wing influencers who don't have a stake in the future. Like I said before, Nick Fuentes is at the top of this list. And yeah, I'll admit, you know, I once upon a time tried to take him seriously, simply because he's so influential. But no longer. No longer. If you don't have a stake in the future, go fuck yourself. I don't care what your opinions are. If this goes to hell, it's not going to impact you. And if it's not going to impact you, you don't know what you're talking about. Just like a woman pretending to have all the based takes in the world, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't truly believe it. That's what you people are, by the way. If you're an influencer who has no stake in the future, none, that's what you are. You're basically an e-girl. Do you realize that? Well, now it makes a lot more sense why Spoon almost exclusively talks to women. He's basically one of them. I heard Spoon say on a podcast once, I forget who it was with, but he was talking to someone, they were interviewing him, and at one point he said he doesn't even want to have kids. He's like, I can't imagine having kids. Oh, you plan on never being responsible. You plan on never having a legacy. To him and everyone like him, go fuck yourself. Some of us have to take the future seriously. We have to, because there are people we care about who are going to be here longer than we will. While you sit around having nothing to lose, telling everyone how to think, go fuck yourself. This is about legitimacy, and it's extremely important. I think it should be the first thing you think about before you listen to anyone on the internet. Everyone in the audience should ask themselves, is this person qualified? And by qualified, I mean, do they have something to lose if they are wrong? You know, I spent so long trying to figure out why Spoon is so useless to the movement. Why doesn't he try? Why doesn't he try? For the longest time, he didn't even follow me. Eventually he did, because he and Aiden had this very, very brief falling out. Turned out to be nothing. And during that time, I guess he was just looking for friends or something, and then he followed me. But then once he and Aiden reconciled, because of course they will, they kind of need each other like that, then he unfollowed me. The more I think about this, the more I realize that Spoon is basically an e-girl. Basically. It's just the only thing he doesn't do is, you know, advertise his body. It's the one thing he doesn't do like an e-girl. But the uselessness, oh yeah. Talks to his girlfriends, oh yeah. He does all the rest of that shit. What was I saying? Yeah, I think this is what I was saying. Anyone who doesn't have a piece on the board, you know, it's like Monopoly. Some of us have a piece on the board. We're the ones rolling the dice. We're the ones who have to consider, like, oh, should I buy Park Place or not? Should I, you know, we're the ones who have to make the decisions. We have something to lose. And then there's people like Nick Fuentes and all the other people I mentioned who just look at us playing this game. They're basically playing the game from the outside. They're watching us move our pieces around, telling us, hey, this is what you should do to win. make this move, make that move. And I seem to be the only one who looks at them and goes, hey, if you want to affect how this game goes, then get a fucking piece on the board or shut the fuck up. If you have nothing to lose, then why would anyone listen to you apart from being a moron? Oh yeah, I suddenly remembered what I was talking about. Spoon being useless. Yeah, for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why is Spoon so useless. Why doesn't he do anything that would actually cause something to happen? You know, he has an audience. Why doesn't he ever use it? And I've heard people try to make excuses for him because they just can't help but Brown knows this guy. But yeah, the more I talk about it right now, the more it's dawning on me. He and people like him have nothing to lose, so why should they care? They are only doing their influencing. They are only influencers because it just feels good to tell people how to live when you have nothing to lose, when you have nothing at stake. It is a sort of God complex playing out in real time. I'm on the plane of I need people to change. I need people to do better. You know, on the right, we have this term champagne socialist. Well, that's ironic. It's ironic we ever use that term because we have a lot of champagne right-wingers, champagne monarchists. We shit on Karl Marx because he was living the high life, didn't understand a fucking thing he was talking about. But look at our own right-wing influencers. How are they any different from Karl Marx? What, because they're not as rich as his certain ethnicity family? and that's what makes them so different? In my mind, they're no different. You don't know what you're talking about. Even if technically what you say is correct, you still don't know what you're talking about. You don't actually believe anything you're saying because it's not going to affect you. Now, I'm not trying to act like nobody on the right has something to lose. You know, everyone knows I'm not a fan of Andrew Wilson, but at least he has something to lose. He actually does have kids who are, you know, actually his kids. You know, not all of the kids he's raising with Rachel are just Rachel's. I think he has 2 that are actually his. At least he has something to lose. Despite my views of the guy, at least he has something to lose. Nick Fuentes does not, and he never will. Fuentes will never have anything to lose, so why are you listening to him? Why does he have an entire army behind him? And I guess it's debatable if he really does have such a strong following, like people say. So yeah, from now on, I don't want to hear jack shit from anyone who doesn't have a stake in the game, who doesn't have a piece on the board. And I think after I publish this video, I'm probably going to disown a couple of people in my own circle for that reason. I might. I'm still not sure about it. It makes them immature. It keeps them immature, not having anything to lose. And I'm sick of it. And I feel like an idiot ever taking any of them seriously. Hindsight is 20/20. But holy shit, how did I take any of these people seriously? Ever? I'm annoyed with myself that I ever did. You know, this subject matter is one of the reasons I'm a monarchist. When absolute power is by design and your power passes on to your child, you literally have something at risk if you do a poor job. The reverse is true for why I detest democracy. As a politician, you have nothing truly at stake because the only thing you have to lose is another election. And that's it. When your job is only supposed to last for a few years and no matter how badly you do your job, it won't lead to any consequences for you or your loved ones. And so you have no incentive to do a good job. Where does everyone think the word politician gets its derogatory undertone? Where do people think that comes from? Bad habits? Like politicians just have bad habits and that's all there is? No, it's because politicians, by design, have nothing to lose. Even if they get their reputation destroyed, they still acquired vast amounts of money, and even more importantly, connections to rich and powerful people. And you only get elected in the first place if the elites want you elected. If you get elected in a democracy, it's basically just the elites reaching down into the pit and pulling you out because you're useful to them in some way. A politician's only incentive by design is to take from the system. Not the case in monarchy. How well a monarch does affects what happens to their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so on. They have something to lose. And it's not just their kids, it's their family, but it's also the country itself. It's their country. It's basically the king's property. You don't take care of your land goes to shit. It all depends on you as a king. So no matter what you think of monarchy, this is undeniable. Politicians don't have anything at stake. Monarchs do. And frankly, I see it being no different with influencers who don't have a stake in the game as democracy itself. Just like democracy, it's a popularity contest. Being an influencer, that is. Like, why do you think my following is so small and it's always going to be small? Because I'm not an entertainer. I don't tell people what they want to hear. In fact, to be honest, now that I think about it, this was subconscious, but now I've come to realize I actively try to tell people truths they don't want to hear, whether they're my friends or not. What is the point if I'm not telling them things they probably don't want to hear but need to hear? What else is the point? The only other point is you're trying to be popular. Oh, what a shock. Those who want to be popular become popular. That's all Nick Fuentes is trying to do. That's all Spoon is trying to do. Even Andrew Wilson, who does have something to lose, he just wants to be popular. Just like democracy, it's a popularity contest. And that's why I hate doing this, to be honest. That's why I hate making content in my spare time. Influencing feels very feminine, but that's the system we're in. That's all I have to use at the moment to change minds and to find like-minded people, finding people who are willing to back me up. This is all I've got. This is all I've got to use. True believers will always have a small audience, but those who are trying to be popular will always have a much bigger audience. It doesn't surprise me. And speaking of backing me up, people backing me up, this will probably be my final point here, but to whoever is watching this video, whether you do content creation or not, pay attention here. If you have no stake in the game, well then, make yourself have something to lose. The Groypers back Fuentes. They made him rich, and he does absolutely fuck all with the power they have given him. All the Groypers, they're all a bunch of nobodies, but together, through Nick Fuentes, they have a presence. We know who they are. On their own, they're nobodies. But this is just how humans operate, because, individually they don't have much to give, but because they all gave it to Fuentes, they elevated him, and now Fuentes, to at least some degree, is a force to be reckoned with, to some degree, whether he does anything with that or not, and clearly he hasn't done shit with it. But the Groypers have put their faith in him, whether it's justified or not. Whether Nick Fuentes does anything with that or not, he could. He could, and that's the point here. You people have nothing to lose, especially a lot of you monarchists. Nothing to lose, except getting sad or something. Maybe falling behind on bills or something. But no real stake in the future. Nobody to be responsible for who's going to be here longer than you, or should be anyway. If you don't have anything to lose, then make me that thing you have to lose. Put your faith and your power in me. And I do mean power, like the Groypers did with Fuentes. I mean, hell, the other day I was watching Nick's show, and he briefly mentioned how he was sentenced to that woman showed up at his house. That woman showed up at his house. I think he maced her or something like that. And he was sentenced to, I think it was like community service or something. But he also had to pay that woman or he had to buy that woman another phone. He broke her phone. And the other night on his show, this was a few weeks ago, some random groiper sent him like $700 just in a super chat. And they said, here you go, that phone's on me. Like, Fuentes didn't even need the help. And yet his followers still had his back that much. Just one of them covered the whole price of the phone that he was sentenced to, he was forced to pay for. They literally said, here, phone's on me. Now, who knows how well off that person is, but I think the odds are good they're not as rich as Fuentes is now. And Fuentes didn't even need that help in the first place. They still had his back. Despite all of that, they still had his back. The groipers put their faith in him. He is that thing that a lot of them have to lose. And I would bet, because birth rates are so fucking low, I would bet most groipers don't have any kids. They don't have any legacy to look after, but they make Fuentes that thing that they have to lose. In my opinion, he's no real leader. In my opinion, he's a failure of a leader. But it is what it is. They still put their faith in him. Anyone who knows me, even if you don't like me, you know I have true believer energy. You know I'm going to do this, whether I get help or not. But if I don't get any help, and frankly, I haven't gotten very much of it, I'm still going to do this. It's just going to take longer without help. So, my point is, if you have nothing to lose, then make me that thing you have to lose. Just like the groipers do with Fuentes. I am willing to form an enclave, a society, to keep my people strong and protected, but I need resources for that. I am willing to face my enemies and challenge my friends. I am willing to act, whatever it takes. I'm strongly against revolutions, because all revolutions are left-wing. No matter what the purpose was at the beginning, they always turn out to be left-wing in the end. I've been very consistent about this. You can see my old videos. I don't believe in revolutions. They're bullshit. But I am willing to act, and I have demonstrated that. I don't brown-nose anybody. I don't suck up to anybody. I don't lie and bullshit just to get people to like me. I don't give a fuck who likes me. I believe in what I believe in, and that is God and my country. Even if I don't like its system, I really don't like its system. It's still my home. This is still my home. We can do better. We don't need democracy to be America. True believer energy, TBE. I say it a lot. Coined the phrase a long time ago. My point is, the right wing doesn't have an excuse anymore. As few of leader figures as we have on the right, we still have more than zero. So if you have nothing to lose, then make your leader something to lose. I don't think the Warren Buffett route of putting your faith in the market, I don't think that's really realistic anymore. I don't think America has 80 years to spare the way Warren Buffett did. And he started all of his investing during the Great Depression. Yes, it was that long ago. He was literally a child when he started investing. I don't think any of us have that much time. Capitalism is bullshit anyway. No one has an excuse anymore to be useless. No one has an excuse anymore to do nothing. So anyone on the right who has nothing to lose and they continue to be useless, they don't want to back me, they don't want to back anyone, especially the influencers who just want to keep influencing, just want to keep being an entertaining clown. I don't give a shit how fancy your fucking voice is. You're a clown. There is no excuse left. Grow up. That is my message. That is the sum of this entire video. Grow up. All of you. Have something to lose. Or be part of a hierarchy. Or both. Preferably both. I think all men should have someone above them and someone below them. Someone they're responsible for and someone they take orders from. I think all men should have that. Even kings, the one above them is God. All men should be responsible for someone and take orders from someone. You have me as an option. Those of you who haven't grown up yet, you have me as an option. Have my back and I will have yours. I hate our system, but we can work within this system to peacefully bring the change we want. I do believe that. As much as I hate capitalism, as much as I hate our hyperinflated debt notes, as I call them, well, if that's our system, if that's what we have to work with, then fine. I'll work with that if I have to. So give me something to work with. Whatever small amount of anything you have to give, all of it adds up. Again, look at the Groypers and how they elevated Fuentes. On their own, they're nobodies. They're still nobodies, but they are a force to be reckoned with because of their leader, the one they elevated up to represent them. The only representative of a group is their leader. So even if all you have to give is $3 and clicking the subscribe button, well, that's better than nothing, and it all adds up over time. You have a willing leader in me. I don't want to do this job, but I'm willing to, because men need to step up when no one else will. That's part of being a man. I'm not only willing, but I'm also aware. Trying to be a leader is probably going to result in me getting martyred. Martyred for trying to bring change. And I'm still doing this anyway. I have something to lose, which is more than I can say for most of you. And to any or all of you who continue to do nothing, you watch this video and you just continue to be fucking useless, well, just know and remember that you have no legitimate right to complain about literally anything. Anything at all. Not women, not democracy. If you're broke, you don't even have a right to complain about that. You're not doing jack shit, so stop complaining. And you have nothing to be responsible for. So you have no right to complain if you continue to be useless. I am trying. What are you doing?